Folks, my name is Ann Myers and I'm a librarian at the Northeast Dade Aventura Branch Library of the Miami-Dade Public Library System. And I'm here today to do a quick talk to you about a book. Obviously we have lots of story times for our younger readers, but if you're a little older and you're looking for something to do, I promise we have some awesome books online for you as well. Today I'm going to talk about The Raven Boys by Maggie Steifvater. We're going to talk a little bit about what it's about and then I'll read you the prologue just to give you a little taste. That reading is being provided with generous permission by Scholastic. Now, The Raven Boys is a story about a girl named Blue. Her family is clairvoyant. They're psychics and they can see a little bit of the future, especially specializing in when somebody is going to die. Now, Blue has spent her whole life watching her mother do that, but she doesn't have that skill herself. So she's always felt like maybe she isn't going to be part of this family. Maybe she'll never develop the family power until she meets a boy. And that boy, she sees his future. Now this is a little bit of a problem. For one thing, that boy is from an exclusive academy school nearby, and she knows better than to spend any time with those boys. They are trouble incarnate, and they are so bad that they're referred to by the locals as the Raven Boys, because they never show up when things are going well. But she's seen this boy's future, and there's a little bit of her own future that's pretty important too, that her mother and other people in her family have seen before. And that is that she is part of a prophecy, and that prophecy says that someday she is going to kill her true love. Now she's seen this boy, she's seen his future, she knows how he dies, and she doesn't know if there's any way she can change it. And that boy has goals too. He's involved in a web of complicated emotions and strange secrets going on at the academy, and he only has so much time to figure out if he can actually handle any of those things before the inevitable fate comes to get him. If any of that sounds interesting, you should definitely try it out. I'm going to read the prologue for you right now so that you can get a taste of what it sounds like. This is The Raven Boys by Maggie Steifvater, and we're reading the prologue. Blue Sargent had forgotten how many times she'd been told that she would kill her true love. Her family traded in predictions. These predictions tended, however, to run toward the non-specific. Things like, something terrible will happen to you today, and it might involve the number 6. Or, money is coming, open your hand for it. Or you have a big decision and it will not make itself. The people who came to the little bright blue house at 300 Fox Way didn't mind the imprecise nature of the fortunes. It became a game, a challenge to realize the exact moment that the prediction came true. When a van carrying 6 people wheeled into a client's car 2 hours after his psychic reading, he could nod with a sense of accomplishment and release. When a neighbor offered to buy another client's old lawnmower, she was looking for a little extra cash, she could recall the promise of money coming and sell it with the sense that that transaction had been foretold. Or when a third client heard his wife say, "This is a decision that has to be made," he could remember those same words being said by Maura Sargent over a spread of tarot cards and then leap decisively into action. But the imprecise nature of the fortunes stole some of their power. The predictions could be dismissed as coincidences, hunches. They were a chuckle in the Walmart parking lot when you ran into an old friend as promised, or a shiver when the number 17 appeared on the electric bill. A realization that even if you discovered the future, it didn't really change how you lived in the present. They were truth, but they weren't all of the truth. I should tell you, Maura always advised her new clients, that this reading will be accurate, but not specific. It was easier that way. But this was not what Blue was told. Again and again, she had her fingers spread wide, her palm examined, her cards plucked from velvet-edged decks and spread across the fuzz of a family friend's living room carpet. Thumbs were pressed to the mystical, invisible third eye that was said to be between everyone's eyebrows. Runes were cast and dreams interpreted, tea leaves scrutinized and seances conducted. All the women came to the same conclusion, blunt and inexplicably specific. What they all agreed on, in many different clairvoyant languages, was this: if Blue was to kiss her true love, he would die. For a long time, this bothered Blue. The warning was specific, certainly, but in the way of a fairy tale. It didn't say how her true love would die. It didn't say how long after the kiss he would survive. Did it have to be a kiss on the lips? Would a chaste peck on the back of his palm prove as deadly? Until she was 11, Blue was convinced she could silently contract an infectious disease. One press of her lips to her hypothetical soulmate, and he too would die in a consumptive battle untreated by modern medicine. When she was 13, Blue decided that jealousy would kill him instead. An old boyfriend emerging at the moment of the first kiss, bearing a handgun and a heart full of hurt. When she turned 15, Blue concluded that her mother's tarot cards were just a pack of playing cards and that the dreams of her mother and the other clairvoyant women were fueled by mixed drinks rather than otherworldly insight, and so the prediction didn't matter. She knew better, though. The predictions that came out of 300 Fox Way were unspecific, but undeniably true. Her mother had dreamt Blue's broken wrist on the first day of school. Her Aunt Jimmy predicted Maura's tax return to within $10. Her older cousin Orla always began to hum her favorite song a few minutes before it came on the radio. No one in the house ever really doubted that Blue was destined to kill her true love with a kiss. It was a threat, however, that had been around for so long that it had lost its force. Picturing 6-year-old Blue in love was such a far-off thing as to be imaginary. And by 16, Blue had decided that she would never fall in love, so it didn't matter. But that belief changed when her mother's half-sister Neve came to their little town of Henrietta. Neve had gotten famous for doing loudly what Blue's mother did quietly. Maura's readings were done in her front room, mostly for residents of Henrietta and the valley around it. Neve, on the other hand, did her readings on television at 5 o'clock in the morning. She had a website featuring old, soft-focus photographs of her staring unerringly at the viewer. 4 books on the supernatural bore her name on the cover. Blue had never met Neve, so she knew more about her half-aunt from a cursory web search than from any personal experience. Blue wasn't sure why Neve was coming to visit, but she knew her imminent arrival spurred a legion of whispered conversations between Maura and her 2 best friends, Persephone and Kala. The sort of conversations that trailed off into sipping coffee and tapping pens on the table when Blue entered the room. But Blue wasn't particularly concerned about Neve's arrival. What was one more woman in a house filled to the brim with them? Neve finally appeared on a spring evening when the already long shadows of the mountains to the west seemed even longer than usual. When Blue opened the door for her, she thought, for a moment, that Neve was an unfamiliar old woman. But then her eyes grew used to the stretched crimson light coming through the trees, and she saw that Neve was barely older than her mother, which was not very old at all. Outside, in the distance, hounds were crying. Blue was familiar enough with their voices. Each fall, the Aglionby Hunt Club rode out with horses and foxhounds nearly every weekend. Blue knew what their frantic howls meant at that moment. They were on the chase. "You're Maura's daughter," Neve said, and before Blue could answer, she added, "This is the year you'll fall in love." If you enjoyed that, you should definitely try out The Raven Boys by Maggie Steifvater. It's available on Overdrive and Access 360 completely for free on your phone, computer, or tablet with your Miami-Dade library card. Have a wonderful day, and from all of us here at the Miami-Dade Public Library System, stay safe.